It is an understatement to say that a lot has happened in the past year. But who are the transformative figures who have impacted and shaped 2017?
That's a question Bloomberg Businessweek sought to answer in a new special issue out now. A large group of Bloomberg journalists put their heads together to come up with the first annual Bloomberg 50. Some of the figures are in the news right now, such as special counsel Robert Mueller. Others are household names, such as Tesla CEO Elon Musk.
The list includes entertainment figures like Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins and those noted for their humanitarian work, including Nobel Peace Prize recipient Beatrice Finn. To break down other names on the list, we welcome Bret Begun, an editor at Bloomberg Businessweek, who helped to compile the list. Bret, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's start with the man who is on many lists, but that does not diminish his reasons for being on those lists, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos, hard to argue that he didn't have a massive year. On June 16th of this year, decides to drop $13.7 billion on Whole Foods. Really, what he did in doing that is essentially signal to the world that he doesn't want Amazon just to be the biggest online retailer in the world, but the biggest retailer in the world. And within hours of that announcement, the Walmarts of the world, Costco's, the Kroger's lost a combined $30 billion of value.
Wow. Speaking of Amazon, another name on the list helped develop Amazon's Alexa technology. Tell us about Geoffrey Hinton.
Yeah, Geoffrey Hinton is really a fascinating guy. He's considered the godfather of AI. In many ways, he invented something that is called the neural net. And if you used Amazon Alexa, if you've watched as Facebook identified your friend's photos, or if you use autopilot on Tesla, that's actually all goes back to research he did. And Canada this year opened up a nearly $200 million institute to be able to keep him there and other AI experts in Canada.
And when Hinton started that research, it was kind of dismissed as, this isn't going to go anywhere, right?
Right. This is the mid-'70s, late '70s, and people had sort of said, you know what, neural nets they're kind of done. There's really not much of a future here. And then this thing called the internet came along, and it turned out that you could actually program these neural nets with a ton more information. And lo and behold, all of the big tech firms decided, hey, we need more Geoffrey Hintons out there.
Well, we do. Okay, another person that readers may not be familiar with, Diane Greene. What has her contribution been?
Right. Diane Greene is Google's cloud chief, and Google's cloud business grew about 80% year over year. And while Google only has a very small portion of the cloud business, Amazon really is the giant. She said this year that she expects Google's cloud business to overtake Amazon's by 2022.
Wow.
There's an entity that made the list, but it's not a specific person. Russian botnets. Tell us about their achievements.
Yeah, we had fun with this one. So if you recall, about a year ago, right after President Trump was elected, Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that it was a crazy idea that there had been any sort of fake news influencing the election. Well, a year later, what we learned in congressional testimony is that there actually were 126 million people that saw some form of fake news connected to Russian botnets. So they obviously had a huge influence, and we're still trying to actually figure out exactly what that influence is.
Bret, there are administration officials on the list, but maybe not ones you thought would be on the list. Scott Pruett, the EPA administrator, is one of them. Why?
Right. So as we've been having these discussions all year about what accomplishments does the Trump administration have, quietly, over at the EPA, Scott Pruett has basically been dismantling Obama-era regulations. What we saw happen this year is really that this is a man who spent his entire career sort of fighting the EPA from the outside, and now he's on the inside and really trying to repeal a lot of what came to fruition over the last administration.
Right. Big changes over there.
It's a fascinating list, the Bloomberg 50. Bret Begun, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah.